Hi guys, it's day 45 of Savor at Home, and tonight we're going to be trying a bourbon. We are going with Jefferson's Reserve. This is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey that says it is very old and very small batch. It's 45.1% ABV. Now you've probably seen a bunch of bottles of Jefferson's on your shelves at the liquor store. Jefferson's is a brand. The producers are McLain and Kyne, and they're known for being pretty experimental. So what they do is they'll source a bunch of new and aged whiskeys and then blend them together or age them at sea. There's the Jefferson's that's been aged at sea. Or they will use different types of barrels, whether they're different types of woods or barrels that have had wines in them, etc. They play around a lot. They're known for being pretty experimental, which is a lot of fun and means that there's a lot of different expressions of, I think they do both bourbons and ryes. What we're trying today is a bourbon. It is from Kentucky, so in order to be called Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, it must be made in Kentucky entirely. And so where they're sourcing their whiskeys from is obviously Kentucky. And then it's aged for at least 4 years in new charred oak barrels. There's no age statement on here, so it has to be at least 4 years in order to be straight bourbon. I also don't know what the mash bill is. I believe they're, again, blending a bunch of different bourbons together, so I'm not sure they even know exactly. I'm sure they probably know, but exactly what the mash bill is. But again, it has to be, in order to be bourbon, at least 51% corn. Yeah, I think that's, oh, okay. So previously, the Jefferson's Reserve, when they originally released it, had a 15-year-old age statement on it, but I think that ended in the early 2000s. It does say very small batch. Small batch, as I've addressed before, is dependent on each distillery. And so I think they take between 8 and 12 barrels as their small batch. But anyways, let's dive in. So you can take a look. There's a nice rich color, as you would expect from a bourbon. There's a little salted caramel in here. That was an interesting, I know I was talking about the aged at sea, but I didn't expect to pick up a little briny note in here. But it might be piggybacking off of that like pickliness that I'm getting, just ever so subtle, but yeah, some good salted caramel. It's floral. It's got like a little bit of a chocolate thing, a little savory note beyond just the pickliness. Yeah, it's got a pretty interesting nose to it. But yeah, very reminiscent of a bourbon. It's got a good palate. Nothing's really like standing out to me as compared to other bourbons. You know, it's very traditional. I'm getting the caramel, the vanilla, the baking spice, a little bit of floral right in the beginning. It's finishing with that cinnamon, some oak at the end. Yeah, nothing really standing out, but that's not to say this isn't a great bourbon. Yeah, a very good bourbon. Yeah, I recommend checking out Jefferson's, especially because they do have multiple different expressions, and I hope to check out more of what they have to offer, especially their experimental batches. I think that's really fun. But anyways, guys, thank you.